Good morning traders and welcome to today's live trading. Today is the 4th of October. It's a Thursday as usual and we are on the FTSE 100. So just to run you quickly through my band analysis for today, you can see currently we've got a band around the 7500 level. This is the opening candle, by the way. We have just opened a couple of minutes ago. We've got a couple of bands above. These are quite tight to price. There's not much gaps between them. Having said that, there is enough room to trade between them, and looking back over the previous price action over the last few days, I think I am quite happy with these bands. Below here we do have a bit of a bigger gap down to our next bands down here around the 7450 level. As far as immediate trade setups go, what I would like to see is if price could maybe come into the top of this band, react from up here where the 200 is basically, and give me maybe a sell signal. I would quite like to take that down to say today's S1. There is an hourly 200 sitting right on today's S1 just at the moment, so that would be a pretty sensible place to come out of a trade. If we got in around here, we're looking down 20-ish points down to that level there, so that could potentially be a good one. Having said that, if that doesn't materialise, then I don't really have anything else that I'm looking at particularly. It would just be, as usual, as price comes into these bands, looking at how it reacts, what price action we get, and going from there. So until something a little bit more interesting does happen, I will go get a drink, I think, and I'll come back to you a bit later on. So we're just coming up to 20 past 8 now. Obviously, this is the fourth candle since the market opened here, and as you can see, we didn't come up to the top of the band, and we are now making our way down to that S1 level. The reason I didn't take this particular trade here, it could have been seen as an engulfing candle, was a couple of reasons. First, it's not been up to the level that I want to see it come up to, and secondly, to take this trade I would need at least an 11-point stop, entering the way that I enter, and then down to the level which we've just reached is 11 points from the end of this candle, which means you're probably looking at more like 9 points profit by the time you've taken off spreads and things. So the risk reward wasn't good enough, hence why I haven't taken the trade. That said, we are now coming down, and it's coming down really well. So again, if I'm going to take a short from here, nothing's really changed for me. I still want to see price come up, and I would get short from the top of this band, feeling that if we're going to come all the way down to the band below here, then I don't really have any preferences with this one. We've currently got the 4-hour 200 sat in this band, which could provide good support. So that looks good. It looks good for a potential long from there if price is going to get down there. So no trade from this band it's looking like as of yet, which is a shame, but I'll just go back to watching. So a 9:15 pretty much just after, and as you can see, we've had a significant move down to the lower band here. It moved really well actually. Like I said, the hourly 200 moving average was just sitting on today's S1 at this point, and there's no reaction whatsoever there. You wouldn't have known there was a higher time frame. 200 moving average sat there. That said, it was tested yesterday morning as well. Sorry, not yesterday morning, the previous morning. So maybe that takes some of the weight off that a little bit, but then we've pushed down into this band. We haven't quite touched the 4-hour 200 moving average, which is sat in this band, and we got this bounce. I was a little bit annoyed because we got this really not large sell signal, but it's like really early You know, the faintest of touch, and we reacted quite well there. Obviously, the target, if I was going to get into a long, is going to be looking for a retest of these levels. And we came close. It did pretty well, to be fair. So it did react from yesterday's low, and we're back down into this band now. I am still interested in taking a long. We are just a few points, if I show you quickly, a few points shy of touching that 4 hour 200, which is currently sat in this band, and that was the hourly 200 that I was talking about earlier. So if we go back to the 5 minutes, so yeah, I am happy to take a long from this level. It's just waiting for the price action and the signal to come, if it is going to come. We have had a decent, like I said, decent move down. Very little rejection on any of these candles. Then obviously we get this pin bar, we get the little move. So I'm looking for, you know, a good signal. I don't want sort of, for the want of a better term, sort of half-assed price action. I don't want, you know, the volatility to drop off or get a really small signal candle. That I'm not going to be interested in. I want some price action that says, yes, I actually want to reverse from this level. Failing that, we do have this band below that I've not quite marked in, but we're not far away from today's S3, although the pivots were pinched a little bit today. So I'll go back to watching, and I will update you if we do get a signal at this level. Okay, so we're a little bit past 10 o'clock now, 7 minutes past 10. I'm trying to think what I said at the last update. I think it was previous to this move lower. I was looking for reasons to get long here as it came down into this band. This signal just not right. I wanted more of a test of this band. This is literally react the second that it touched the band. We came up. I was potentially looking, if I was going to get long from that band, to go target sort of this level here. As it happens, it's moved up, didn't quite get to that level, and failed again, which is not a good sign. Not even managing to retest the previous sort of swing low there. It shows that the selling's quite strong still, and as it happens, it's come straight back down into this market, into this band. Sorry, popped up, tested the ATMA, and then just sort of hung around a little bit. This isn't bad price action, to be honest. If we'd have got a decent sell signal following this, that, you know, pokes through the ATMA, then I would have been reasonably happy to take that. Having said that, at the point that it started to look like it was going to break through the ATMA, it instantly rejected, and now we've moved lower yet again. So, you know, if we're looking at this market, we've got a lower low, a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and now we're breaking the lows yet again. The momentum to the downside is obviously pretty good. So before I start taking any longs, I would like to see at least some evidence of that momentum beginning to dissipate. And so I'm still watching now. We're coming up 10 past 10. We do have this band below here. I'll just mark it in, which could potentially be a good level to take a long from. It is past the S3, and what we could see is maybe a touch of the S3 and a reaction before we get to this band. It just depends, really. You can see it's actually responded somewhat well to today's pivot, so if it does react to that, that will be a shame, because just a little, you know, a few points lower, and I could get involved from one of the bands, which I do prefer. But yeah, for now, I'm still watching. The momentum is to the downside, and unfortunately I'm struggling to get involved in that direction, so there's not much I can do for now. Okay, so I'm just going to put a long order in above this candle. It's a high of 53, so I want to be in at 54.2. By 54.2, submit that. So if this price starts coming up now past the top of this candle, we'll be triggered in 54.2. Just double check that that's correct. Yep. So basically what I'm looking at is we've had obviously this decent move down. we've come into this band, we've tested it once, twice, this is the third time we're sort of really testing it. And yes, we've broken down lower, but just at the moment we tried to break down again and we've failed. We've already tested the lows of these swings here, and then the next candle tries to push down and fails. So if price now wants to start moving upwards past this candle where I've got the order in, then I would imagine that we should at least get somewhat of a move upwards. Now if price carries on coming down and closes below the low of my signal candle, then I'll just cancel the order. But as it stands, I quite like the pattern that's happened there and the price action. The signal's a good one, so we'll just have to wait and see as to whether it gets triggered or not. I'm pretty sure we don't really have any news in the way today. No. So this looks a decent setup. As I mentioned earlier, this looks like a good target, although from where we're looking to get in, we're looking at about 11 point stop. That's quite a distance, almost 30 points up to there. So we can also target where it got to previously, so the previous swing, and we're not trying to run it past more swings than we need to, more points of interest than we need to. So that's a potential as well to run it to there. I believe that would be about 20 points, something like that. Yeah. So 2 to 1. If we can run it to the next one, going up for 3 to 1. But obviously we need to get triggered into the trade first, and like I say, if it finishes lower than the signal candle, then it will invalidate the trade. So we'll just have to see what happens. Okay, unfortunately that was short-lived. Obviously the price has continued to come down now, so I will just cancel this order. It's just not wanting to start moving up, is it? It's even these are sort of half signals, really. There are times when you can be looking at the way a market's moving and thinking there's probably not enough there for me to get involved in a trade, but I also wouldn't be too surprised to actually see it react from here based off this price action. And that's sort of one of those occurrences. And then we've had even this further move down, and then a good signal when I was happy to trade, and still it's just so reluctant to move up. Even though it's come into contact with two higher time frame 200 moving averages today, which says a lot. I mean, we've not really broken the one that's at this band at the moment. We are poking through it as we stand, but who knows. I think what I'd like to see now from this particular band is if price is going to come up here and then sort of retest and then go, and then either come up to this level or this next level here, rather than solely just taking a pin bar from like this downward step moving action. Obviously there's not much room left to do so anyway, but failing that, maybe look to take a long from the band below. Otherwise I think it's just going to be pushing it too much, but we'll see what price gives us as we progress through the day, and I'll keep you updated. Right, so we've just gone 1 o'clock. I'm going to put a sell signal below this candle at 50.8. I want to be in at 49.6. Quickly do that. Sell 49.6. Submit. Just double check that that's right. Yep. So that should... Yeah, it's been triggered. There we are. So we're into the trade now. Basically, my thinking behind this trade is we've obviously had this good downward move today. We've come down into today's S3. We've had a really laboured bounce from there, come up into the top of the band, and if you just look across where we got this initial reaction on the move down, we got a retest, finally a break, a retest and move down. We've now come back into it and we're really struggling, really struggling to try and move past here. We have broken down a little bit and tested the sort of spike up here, which is good to see. So now if we get another move down, I would expect to move past that and given how small the signal candle is, 4 points, so we're looking at about 7.5 points stop wise. Back down to here is 18 points, so by the time we took spreads and things off, there's at least 15 points to aim for down towards today's S3 again, if it wants to make another move that way. So yeah, this setup's pretty good. I think it's probably got less probability of actually working out than normal, but the risk to reward is good enough to sort of counteract that. So yeah, I'm happy with the trade. If we can, like I say, if we can start moving down, I think because of this previous test, we might have a little bit more probability of getting down towards today's S3. So I'll bring the ticket across and leave the trade to run so we can see how it gets on. So that trade's finally over. This was the signal candle back here. This red one here at 1 o'clock. As you can see, it came down to a low of 35.3. That must have been about 2 points, if not less, from the take profit. And I was almost convinced that it was going to just snag it. I think I put the take profit order in on the ticket. You'll have seen me do that. It then reversed and came up to a high of 56.3, and the stop loss was at 57. So I think there was possibly a 0.5 spread on that as well. So it came so close to hitting that. I actually wasn't in the room as price came up here, and then when I walked back in, I was a little bit concerned that I'd not even set a stop loss, because it looked like it had comfortably touched it, but that's how close it came. And then obviously from there we've had this engulfing down bar, which I think is the biggest of the afternoon. And then that sort of set the precedent for the move. You can see we then continued to move down and did eventually reach that take profit level. But a really, really weird trade, because you get so close to the take profit, and it's that usual thing I've talked about before, where you start thinking you've almost banked that trade in your head because it's so close, and then as it starts to turn round, the whole time that it's moving against you, you're thinking, I should have took that profit. And then it comes up some more and you think, oh well, I should have just took that profit, and then it'll come up some more, and you just continue thinking that all the way up to where it's pretty much about to take you out of the market for a loss, and you've wound yourself up this entire time, beat yourself up even, wondering why you've not taken the trade, only for it to reverse and come down and take your take profit, hit your take profit anyway. You can see how a lot of traders would struggle to manage that trade, even though nothing groundbreaking happened. You look at the price movement, nothing really weird happened. It just came down, up a bit, and then down again. But the actual story of being in that can be quite stressful. So, you know, if you're getting stuck in certain stages of this trade, potentially you're snatching up profits on the first sign of it moving against you. Maybe the next time you're in a trade that's similar, just try to do a little bit better. You know, hold on for a little bit longer, or at least set yourself a rule that you can say, well, I'm really struggling with this. If it does this, then I'll come out. And then at least you're still following some sort of rule, and you can build on that and build on that until you've got the sort of endurance to sit through something like this, whereby, you know, you pretty much almost take a loss. But when I backtest, there are trades like this that look exactly like this, and I will record them as wins because it hasn't hit my stop. But you do have to think at the time, this would have been a little bit tedious to sit through, and it was. And it didn't just happen over 30 minutes either. I think at 1 o'clock, it didn't complete till gone 3 o'clock. So it's 2 hours, especially if you sit there watching that. So it'll feel a long 2 hours. But hopefully you took something away from that. Hopefully it was useful. If you did enjoy the video, please do feel free to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next week.